in the league. That don't matter when you standing in front of Caitlin Clark, Tiffany Hayes. I'm sorry. And all that yapping you was doing, that don't help, and that's not gonna stop her. If anything, you just gonna piss her off, and she really gonna destroy you like she did. That's all that was. Don't try to say, oh, it's because of us and no one else. Nah. There is no defense for somebody pulling up from half court. There is no defense for that. There's nothing you could do, Tiffany Hayes.
Look, I'm sorry, but all that talking and posturing wasn't helping anyone. In fact, it only made things worse. None of it was going to stop her. If anything, it simply fueled her competitive fire and pushed her to dominate even more than she already did. That's the reality of the situation. And let's stop pretending this happened because of one specific factor or group of people. No, absolutely not. There is simply no defensive answer for a player confidently launching shots from near half court and knocking them down. What exactly are you supposed to do against that, Tiffany Hayes? There isn't a magic solution. At the highest levels of professional sports, there exists an unspoken principle that every elite competitor understands. It is a harsh truth ignored only by those blinded by arrogance or poor judgment. Under no circumstances do you intentionally provoke a once-in-a-generation talent operating at the peak of their powers. You don't awaken a sleeping giant, and you certainly don't challenge someone capable of making you pay for every mistake. Yet, under the bright lights of national television, veteran Golden State Valkyries guard Tiffany Hayes appeared to disregard that reality completely. She initiated both a physical and mental battle that ultimately proved far beyond what she was prepared to handle. What followed was more than an ordinary 90-82 loss. It became a highly visible lesson, played out in front of a national audience. Welcome back to WNBA Pro. Today, we're examining one of the most intense, emotionally charged, and psychologically compelling individual matchups the league has witnessed in recent years. This story combines the competitive fury of a superstar pushed to her limits with the undeniable numbers showing a defender struggling to contain the moment. If you believe Indiana Fever's victory over the Valkyries was simply about Caitlin Clark scoring 22 points, then you missed the larger battle unfolding throughout the game. We're going to analyze the crucial mistake Tiffany Hayes made, revisit the moment Caitlin Clark elevated her intensity to another level, and examine the controversial reactions that emerged during Golden State's post-game press conference. To understand everything that happened, we need to start with the defensive strategy Golden State brought into the matchup. Valkyries head coach Natalie Nakase appeared confident that her team had discovered a formula for slowing Caitlin Clark down. However, the approach wasn't built on elite rotations, advanced defensive concepts, or sophisticated basketball tactics. Instead, it relied heavily on physicality. The game plan seemed straightforward: apply constant pressure, limit her movement, fight through every screen aggressively, and make every possession physically demanding. For a brief stretch early in the first quarter, that strategy appeared to have some effect. Then came the turning point, the exact moment that changed the trajectory of the game and became the catalyst for everything that followed. It was the moment Tiffany Hayes made what many would view as the defining mistake of the night.
Hayes taking it to the rack here. Tiffany Hayes taking it to the rack on Caitlin Clark. Starts clapping in Caitlin Clark's face. Takes it to the rack on Caitlin Clark. Starts clapping in Caitlin Clark's face. Jaws at her right after. Jaws at her right after. At this point, do you know what Caitlin Clark said? And I'm going to bring back our good...
At approximately the 3-minute mark of the opening quarter, Tiffany Hayes successfully attacked the basket and finished through contact against Caitlin Clark. It was a routine basketball sequence, nothing out of the ordinary. However, rather than simply turning her attention back to the next possession and retreating on defense, Hayes allowed the moment to become something much bigger. She immediately approached Clark, stepped directly into her space, and began clapping aggressively in front of her. Words were exchanged, emotions intensified, and an attempt was made to gain both a physical and psychological edge. From Hayes' perspective, it may have been an effort to establish authority and confidence. Instead, It appeared to awaken a different level of focus from Clark. Against elite competitors, those types of moments can have unintended consequences. Players with extraordinary talent often respond to challenges by elevating their performance. And that is exactly how the situation began to feel. A famous basketball saying warns against motivating a superstar who is already capable of taking over a game. Once that competitive fire is ignited, controlling the outcome becomes significantly more difficult. The ideal scenario against a player of Caitlin Clark's caliber is to keep her comfortable, predictable, and operating within the normal rhythm of the offense. The last thing any defender wants is to provide additional motivation to someone already capable of changing a game single-handedly, but after that confrontation, the entire atmosphere shifted. Clark's intensity visibly increased, and what had started as a standard regular season matchup suddenly felt far more personal. Every possession carried added energy, every shot carried greater significance, and every successful play seemed to send a message. The game was no longer just about scoring points or securing a win. It became a battle of momentum, confidence, and competitive pride. What followed was swift and unmistakable. Clark responded with the type of poise and offensive execution that elite players often display when challenged. Rather than engaging in extended verbal exchanges, she allowed her performance to do the talking. Possession after possession, she answered with shot-making, playmaking, and the kind of composure that can completely shift the psychological balance of a game. The response wasn't merely effective, it became a textbook example of how great players turn confrontation into fuel and transform pressure into production.